It's always sunny down in Mexico. The sun gets high when I get low. The only way to get there is to let yourself go. Good times are made in Mexico.
This is one of the most common questions that I think is asked in our Facebook groups. And I want to know how you answer it. Hey, does anybody know if there are lights at the Acamal Plaza before I spend almost $2,000 on additional lighting? I really don't want to have to.
You have to. I feel like lighting makes such a difference in every aspect for the events. You don't want the ambience of the entire night to be affected just because you didn't want to get lights. And I'm sure if she were to talk with her coordinator, if she really didn't want to pay thousands of dollars for specific lights, I'm sure there were other type of lighting options she could do at a different price.
And I think a lot of times the questions that a bride's ask, like, are there no lights? Are we just going to be in the dark, pitch black dark? Most locations, they have to have some lighting, right? Because it's an area that's open to their guests. And so in an emergency, you have to have emergency lighting. But even in that outdoor location, there's some lighting that's out there. It's not going to be like you can't see anything.
Yeah.
Because there is ambient lighting from the landscape lighting and all throughout as well. So can you do an event without adding the cafe lights and the bistro lights or whatever you want to call them? Yes. But does that extra lighting add so much ambiance? It's amazing.
I don't think I've ever seen an event at that venue without additional lighting. But honestly, I feel like if you were trying to budget and save money in places, I wouldn't say that's a place to cut corners and not spend money.
It's one of those things that costs a lot of money. It really makes the wedding like a little bit more wow factor.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend it to everybody, but it's not required.
Yeah, and I feel like it also depends on the resort, the location, time of year, because sometimes you can get away with it if you're like summer wedding and sunset's super late or something like that.
Another very common question when I'm working with a couple that's planning on doing a destination wedding, this is a really common question we get. The bride says, hey, I'm getting married on whatever date. I got this package and we have 70 people. Can anyone confirm if the bar is included with the reception? We chose a garden. As I was looking over the menu, I noted that no mention of a bar.
I mean, is she talking about just like the basic setup with the bartender and drinks? Yeah.
But I think we take it for granted because I think we're always like, yeah, of course a bar's included. But like when you do a wedding in the US,
True.
A lot of times it's not. And it's extra money for the bar. But when you do an all-inclusive wedding, they're including that in there.
Yeah, and I feel like the resorts are really great about that because they'll even like staff it accordingly to how many people you'll have at your wedding. So it's not like people are standing in line at a bar that they probably typically would be in the US.
And the staff is amazing because the staff at every single destination wedding I've ever done, your guest won't even be at the bar walking up and standing in line. They can if they want to, but because the staff actually works the crowd, and they're looking, they keep an eye on you, and they know what you're drinking, and they see your glass, and they just come up to you and bring you more. I've done hundreds and hundreds, probably over 1,000 weddings in the US as a photographer. I've never once seen a wedding in the US where the staff just, here's your next drink, here you go.
Someone posted, hello, we're currently planning our wedding for January 2027 and looking to do a room block. Did anyone opt out of doing it? Any pros and cons that we should be thinking about? Thanks.
Opt out of doing a room block?
Yeah.
Why?
Your guess is as good as mine.
How many guests? We highly recommend doing a room block for destination wedding groups because you're going to lock in your space, lock in your rates. There's really no downside to doing a room block. You also guarantee the incentives that the resort offers at that time, where if you don't do a room block, you may not get any incentives at all because there's no way to guarantee them unless they're in contract. You could end up with your guests not having room at the resort because I came in with all of my groups and booked my weddings in room blocks and made sure that we have that inventory locked in and held for those guests at the wedding. So I'm very pro room block.
When I took a screenshot of it, I was actually thinking, are there any reasons to opt out of a room block? And I honestly couldn't think of one, because the way that our team does stuff, if you block rooms and you don't end up using all the rooms, it's not like you're paying for those rooms. So there's no downside. I mean, I know there are other agencies that do work in a way that if you don't book all the rooms that you contract, you can be liable for them. But that's not how we work. So there's really no downside to not getting a room block.
Yeah. You got to talk to agents that do this all the time and know what they're doing, know how to navigate a room block, and know how to do a destination wedding. But there is absolutely zero downside to doing a room block as long as you're going to meet the guest minimum. So if you're having a really small wedding and you're like, I'm not sure if we'll even have 5 rooms, then maybe you don't do a room block. But if you know you're going to hit the group minimum, there's no downside to doing a room block at all.
And this was posted in a group that has really good wedding incentives and stuff too. So like, she would kind of be losing money if she didn't do a room block. And especially, I feel like there's a lot of misconception too about the deposit, but you get your deposit back one way or another. Even if you're upfronting $5,000, you're gonna get it back.
At least with us and how we handle
that
it.
with us. This one, I was curious what your thoughts were on it. I'm working with a TA. Was anyone able to negotiate down their guest nightly room block rates? Was curious if there was any wiggle room.
The resorts have plenty of business, and although they appreciate your business and bringing your group of maybe 20 to 50 rooms to their property, if you don't, somebody else will. And that's just the harsh reality of it. So typically, rates that resorts set are generally not negotiable because there's not much leverage you're standing on, right? I mean, if I had a couple that was like, hey, we're willing to pay for all these rooms up front and take a penalty if they don't sell, meaning I'm going to guarantee these rooms, well, then maybe I can go back to the resort and say, hey, I'm going to give you a guarantee. Unless from the resort standpoint, unless you can make some sort of a guarantee, meaning you're signing on and you're basically, the guarantee is going to also come with you're paying for those rooms in advance.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That could give us leverage of power in negotiations. But other than that, we don't have much leveraging power in negotiations with resorts on their rates. So what really sets rates is occupancy.
Yeah.
If the resort's full, the rooms are going to be more expensive. If the resort's empty, the rooms are going to be less expensive. And rates do change. We can always go back to resorts if rates went down and renegotiate the contract at that point. But initially up front, you generally don't have that negotiation power because all you're doing up front is speculation saying, I think I'm going to bring 100 people to your resort. But the truth is those 100 people haven't put up funds to actually say they're going to come. And
when I read this, I almost wondered like if she was contracted and checked retail rates and saw that retail rates were maybe lower than her contracted rates, because in that case, we're able to price match to make sure that no one is paying more inside the group than they would outside the group. But other than that, I don't think there's ever like really an instance where you can like negotiate lower than your already contracted rates that are lower than retail.
Yeah, but certainly if prices do go down, you should be bringing that to your agent's attention so they can go back to the resort and we call it price match renegotiation, or it's renegotiating the contract for the new updated rates. That can happen for sure. But upfront to say, hey, I'm going to bring 150 people to your resort, give me X rates. The truth of the matter is every single couple would catch on to that real quick. And the truth is they wouldn't fill that group. And if there's no financial responsibility for them not filling that, everybody will lie.
Yeah, that's very true.
So it's just how the resorts do it. But your agent should be able to guide you through all of that.
I think that's also a scary part to contracts too, though, because brides will think that they're locked into the rates that they're getting. And if the chance happens that the rates go down, it's not like you're going to be punished for getting contracted rates and being forced to pay the higher rates. You'll get the lower rates down as well.
Sunny down in Mexico, the sun gets high.